Lead us in prayer. Mr. Clayton, if you would lead us in the pledge, please.
Those who desire, please pray with us. Heavenly Father, we acknowledge our need for you in this meeting this morning, the need for guidance and direction in decisions that we make. May they be noble, may they be honorable, may they be in best interest of this county. And we pray for our men and women who are serving in various places all over the world to protect our freedom and our worship rights and the privilege of assembling in meetings like this here today. We pray again for your guidance. In your Son's holy name we pray. Amen.
Let's stand and place the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody. Got anything they want to change on the agenda?
I'd like to add a request by the Environmental Committee.
All right.
Can the commissioner go into detail as to?
It's at your desk here. I was going to request they're coming today for a litter proposal that they're doing for the county.
Does that become item number 11 or?
So at the end.
All right. Have a motion. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All righty, it is now added.
Move to adopt the agenda as amended.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's see, we got a couple of awards to give out here this morning. If I could have Anita Poindexter come forward, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to read this to you. Resolution of appreciation, whereas Anita Poindexter has served the people of Person County during her tenure at the as a practical nurse 2 at Health Department, and whereas Anita Poindexter has served the citizens of Person County with honor, integrity, sincerity, dedication, providing accurate, concise services for 24 years. August 96 through May of 2019. And whereas Anita Poindexter has earned the respect and admiration of all who have known her and worked with her throughout her career, and whereas the County of Person recognizes the many contributions Anita Poindexter has made to the county and offers her sincere best wishes for her retirement. Now therefore, I, David Newell Sr., Chairman, Board of Commissioners, do hereby extend the resolution of appreciation to Anita Poindexter for continually striving to make Roxborough and Person County a better place to live. Thank you. Sandra Mangum. Good morning. Resolution of appreciation. Whereas Sandra Mangum has served the people of Person County during her tenure as the processing assistant 3 at the Health Department, and whereas Sandra Mangum has served the citizens of Person County with honor, integrity, sincerity, and dedication, providing accurate, concise services for 12 years, October 07 to May 19. Whereas Sandra Mangum has earned the respect and admiration of all who have known her and worked with her throughout her career, and whereas the County of Person recognizes many contributions Sandra Mangum has made to the county and offers her sincere best wishes for her retirement. Now therefore, I, David Newell Sr., Chairman, County Commissioners, do hereby extend this resolution of appreciation to Sandra Mangum for continually striving to make Roxborough and Person County a better place to work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor say aye. All right, public hearing is now open. If Sally Bone would come forward and get us started.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Before you today to recommend that a road named Walnut Ridge Court be added off of Moores Mill Road to service a recently developed subdivision. There are currently no homes, and there will be no one's addresses to be affected. I'll take any questions.
Anybody from the audience care to comment?
No one signed up, so.
Move to
Okay.
close the public hearing.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. What's the wishes of the board?
Move to grant a request.
All right, any discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Okay. All right, we got quite a few people here for public comment this morning. What I would like to do is, let's see, you got 21 people altogether. If we could
11.
extend 1 minute each, would that be okay? All right. Wait a minute.
11.
11, excuse me, okay, all right. Okay, let's get started. Chris Weaver.
Gentlemen, later y'all are going to be talking about raising our taxes. I just want to stand here and tell you I'm opposed to that. I'm very opposed to that. We have a fixed budget in our household, and we cannot get money from our neighbors to make our budget balance. You have to have a balanced budget. It's easy when you can raise taxes, okay? I don't find that innovative. I find it lazy. I know it's a necessary evil, but we've been doing well so far. I think we need to create an environment here that will bring revenue in, and I would like to hear more about this revenue stream that you guys have been talking about. That should have been done a long time ago. As Person County Chairman, I'd like to say that never again will there be a Republican primary in this county in which there are not forums to see who is the conservative, principled Republican. That is all.
All right. Derek Sims.
Thank you. Again, Derek Sims, 2409 Flatwoods Road, Timberlake. I again am against the proposed budget with the tax increase. First of all, I think that it adds a burden to our tax, to our county residents and our city residents. Their city residents are going to be paying double taxes. And I think we have opportunities for other revenue, and I think that needs to be looked at before we just go and say, let's tax the people. I think it was a shame that this board did not consider Kyle Perrier's budget proposal. And I think that approving a YMCA study that will cost this taxpayers $25,000 is a waste of money. And I will close with this and say this: those of you who vote to raise our taxes, I would ask that and say this, that when you did run for office, I think if you'd have told everyone when you were running that you were going to raise taxes, I don't think you'd be sitting up here today. Thank you.
Robert Allen.
Thank you, Commissioners. Robert Allen, 549 Old Cedar Lake Road. I'm in favor of raising the taxes because it's been 12 years since we've done so. And it seems to me that the economic development in Person County has suffered because we haven't had enough money to fund the things that we need to attract business into the county. And so I'm in favor of the taxes. I do have a couple of questions. How much money do we know it will be generated by this 3-cent increase. I'd like to know what that figure is. And I'd like to know if we can project what the potential economic development impact would be. Would the tax increase possibly mean that certain businesses would leave the county because they would have higher taxes? And would it necessarily prevent other potential business to moving to the county, particularly as regards to mega site? Thank you.
Fred Fox?
I'm Fred Fox from Foxborough, Woody Fox Road. As a former school board member, I understand the need for raising taxes periodically. The question I have is the amount that you choose to raise at this time, and the fact that last year I did talk to several of y'all about looking at alternative ways to find revenue and taxation. I find it kind of unusual that you think that the landowners have the ability to pay taxes every year. And I know it's been 12 years. However, nothing has changed in my household in the last 12 years. My income certainly hasn't changed. Farming is not what it used to be. The cost of materials has gone up. The price of cows has gone down. And the other thing I would like to ask you is this. Why can't you use sales tax to help offset some of this taxation for property tax owners? I would like to see everybody pay a burden somewhat equally. Everybody buys things at the stores. And I would think it would be much fair if you would split that tax increase and increase the sales tax to make it a little bit easier. And the thing I would say last, and I say this jokingly and lovingly, please don't keep putting examples of how a penny tax will increase my household. I do not have a house that's worth $118,000. It's pretty much of an insult when you use those examples, when you know that most people have houses that are worth $200,000 or $300,000, and farms are worth much more than that. So the actual increase is much larger than what's perpetrated in the newspaper. And it sends the wrong message, I think, to the community to say, well, it's only $118,000. What's a penny? $28. It's not $28. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Carlisle Hall?
Yes, Carlisle Hall, down on Thaxton Road, Roxborough. My question is, Mr. Priya, I think, has drawn up a budget that says that it would take care of all of these requests without raising taxes. And my question is to you all, why not agree on his budget and not raise taxes if it's taking care of the problems to start with? As far as the Economic Development Committee, it's been one in Person County ever since back in the 1960s. How much money were they allocated? We don't know the answer to that. Now you want to allocate money to the Economic Committee to help bring in industry. What have they brought in so far? All the industry that we've had has been brought in the past. So I'd like for y'all to consider Mr. Priya's motion that he has drawn up to take care of this problem and not have to raise taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Louise Wright Oliver? Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Good morning. Good morning. County Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak to each of you today. First, I would like to tell you a little bit about my background. I retired 15 years of service with Department of Juvenile Justice. I am temporarily now a independent life insurance agent, which means I traveled through Roxborough to see the economic lifestyles of your people in Roxborough, and they need your help. The department now is renamed Department of Public Service. I retired working hard. I retired in 2013 and joined a lot of community events and organizations. But under my retirement, I learned a lot from people in the community saying there's nothing to do in Roxborough. So if you all have seen me uptown Roxborough, I'm trying to beautify and make it publicly known that Roxborough does have something to do. If you notify the people in advance, give them opportunity to participate, they will come. They don't want to leave Roxborough for events, but sometimes you're pushing them out. I went to segregated schools throughout my childhood. This Friday, June 21st, we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary. Person County school system has only been integrated officially, mandated for only 50 years in Roxborough. I believe we lost one of our classmates that graduated the same year, 1969, from drowning, Lake Hyco. In the 80s, my children's method of learning how to swim came at an early age from water parks. Later, they joined New Mount Zion Baptist Church, and they traveled to a park with a pool in South Boston, Virginia, during the summer. It was around that time in my life, Person County tried bringing a YMCA here. It started uptown, and different activities were broken up. Looking back, it was doomed to fail because of the planning and lack of support from the local governments, making it difficult and harder for Person County citizens to travel to those locations. One thing came out of that program. There was a local family located on Samora Road that allowed the YMCA to train participants how to swim in a private swimming pool. I was an adult, mother of 3 sons. The fear of drowning. I had never learned how to swim. I had the fear of drowning, trying to figure out how was people learning, how were they breathing underwater while they were swimming. It looked like so much fun. I joined the YMCA because it's exercise programs, and I wanted to challenge myself to learn how to swim. Being born in the 50s, it wasn't allowed. Once I learned the fear, to fight my fear of drowning, I was told how to breathe. I was swimming under the water more than I was on top of the water. Just when I thought Roxborough was finally getting away from the old wives' tales, they don't want black people in the pool with white people, they dropped the program of having a YMCA. Why? Through the years, I have heard that there are several private pools in Roxborough. What does it take for people of color to have a private charge and membership pool in Roxborough? I know there have been several attempts and no prevail to open a pool. Even the senior center had to fight over the plans to open. I strongly believe our plans were delayed because of that swimming pool. Do you realize we have seniors now, including me, that need pool therapy? And we are being told to go to Hillsborough or Vance County. Mr. Powell, you know me. You know that I want the best for Person County. And it starts with our youth. Please give them the opportunity in your lifetime, Mine is almost over. My children are grown now. To be the one to make the difference in Person County. Mr. Prieur, I don't know that much about you, but I am a good observer on how you vote. I am a great admirer for the work your wife has done for the Chamber of Commerce. We know each other very well. I'm asking you and Mr. Powell to give Hope a chance. Let's do this. We can do this. Vote yes. Vote Y for the Y. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Margaret Jones.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Margaret Pooh Jones, and I want to thank you for allowing me to have my say. No doubt what I'm going to say will not make a difference one way or the other, because you probably have already made up your mind about the budget. Nevertheless, I'm concerned about Person County, a place where I've lived all of my life, a 40-year retired employee of the Person County school system. And I question the reason for the proposed increase in taxes for the county. Someone said on Facebook that Person County is dying, and I totally agree. There are no opportunities here for the baby boomers and the millennials, so they work out of town or move away, and the old folk are dying out. There's nothing being done to keep the younger folk here. No job opportunities, no place for careers. We don't have any industries to help with the taxes. Everything here is closed. There are only 3 grocery stores, 2 of them being Food Line. And I'm not counting Walmart because they sell everything else. No big box stores, plenty of fast food restaurants to keep the doctors in business, but no place for people to gain employment. You paid an arm and a leg for force protection to set up operation here, and they left almost overnight. Did they give the money back to the county? Have we recruited other industries to come to Person County? Any companies dealing with technology where the money is? That is the reason our young educated citizens are leaving home and taking the tax dollar with them. Now to the issue of getting a YMCA here. Almost 40 years ago, I was on a committee headed up by James Webster. We met with the county commissioners for help to get a YMCA here in Person County. There were no public swimming pools. They were all private, and the black children had to go to Durham or Virginia for swimming lessons. We were told there were no funds and there was not really a need for a Y. We beat the bushes and contacted citizens who pledged to become members, and I think the joining fee was $40 or $45, I can't recall right now. We met back with the commissioners and got the same answer, thus no YMCA. Now today, in 2019, we're still hearing the same song, no funds or resources. And I would like to know why. What is being done with the tax dollar and how is it used? Every year something is being cut from the budget in one department or another, and you're asking for more money. I know you said that there has not been a tax increase in many years, so why are you asking for one today if you have no plans to help fund a YMCA? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. James, is it Hayward?
Yes, it is. Good morning. My name's James Hayward. I live on Leesburg Road in Roxborough. I'm here to ask you to dig deep and try and do your best to leave Person County in a better position than when you found it. That's why I'm here today. I would like, when I'm gone, for Person County to be a better place for everybody when I'm dead and buried. One way to do that is is good jobs and good schools. Good jobs and good schools is what attracts people to this area. Everybody's complaining about taxes, and our taxes are too high, and we don't want to raise taxes. Look at where the good jobs and the good schools are in our state. All of those places have higher taxes. They charge higher taxes because they give better services. Services that help everybody, not just a handful of people or wealthy landowners. I encourage you, I ask you to fund this budget and dig deep and do what's best for our children, our youth, our seniors, and kind of everybody in between. It's an investment in the health and welfare of our community, which is really important. If we had children taking swimming classes, if we had swim teams that the high schools and local schools could get involved with, it would enhance the education environment dramatically. It would increase community activism and participation. It would be a benefit to everybody, and all of that would draw more businesses and more people to our county. So I know there's a lot of effort. I know you've got a tough job balancing a budget. We all have to balance budgets, and it's really tough. Please be brave and invest in our children's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Kirkland.
I won't need all my time. I was just going to say, please, raise the taxes, make Person County a nicer place. I'm happy with it. My property's well above the median. I'll be paying quite a bit more. Not that much more, but that's fine. Do it.
Carolyn Magnet. Looks French.
It is French.
Okay.
Husband. I'm Carolyn Mangeau. I live at 112 Elderberry Lane in Rougemont, the Person County part of Rougemont. And I wanted to speak on behalf of my community, which is a senior community of 18 homes. Many of those folks go to Hillsborough to swim, to do recreation, that kind of thing. My husband and I are both retired. We're on fixed income, but we are very much in favor of raising taxes in order to make this a better county. I also want to speak on behalf of the kids that I tutor at North Elementary. They really want a place to swim and don't have anywhere to go. So please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Everett Motley.
My name is Everett Motley, and I'm a young man of this county. I also am a landowner. I'm in favor of raising the taxes to do whatever we need to do to make this a better community and a town. Our kids, I have a young son who ain't gonna have nowhere to swim if we don't have a YMCA. He'll have to go to Virginia, where his other grandparents live to swim, and I think that's crazy because I'm gonna buy gas over there, so I'm gonna pay taxes on the gas over there instead of just putting it here in my hometown. So I'm in favor of raising the taxes and doing whatever we need to do to make this a better community and town. And everybody who's a landowner, I mean, we'll get it back on a tax write-off, so raise it.
All right. Rodney Cameron.
Good morning. My name is Rodney Cameron. I stay on 1705 Sunset Street. I hear people say in 12 years the taxes hasn't been raised, but I can tell you in 12 years Roxborough has gotten worse. I work with kids. I coach football, and how I started out with my son, but one day I was riding through my old neighborhood and I saw 4 or 5 kids standing around cursing, throwing bottles and breaking them because they had nothing else to do. Me and my brother and a few other guys, we went out there and we took some cones and a football. We took those kids on the bottom of Brookwood and we started playing with those kids. Those kids started paying attention to their work, their school work. Their parents would come to us and tell us when they was acting up, and they would be disciplined accordingly. We'd make them run extra and everything. But what I learned was that those kids loved it because they had something to do. They had structure. You understand what I'm saying? These kids, and especially in our low-income areas, They have nothing to do. And we all know an idle mind is the devil's workshop. If we don't give these kids nothing to do, and you're worried about your taxes, you might be worrying about them breaking into your homes. You might be worrying about one of your kids catching a stray bullet from one of these same kids that didn't have nowhere to swim. I like for all of y'all to consider that when y'all vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
We do have two additional that wish to make comments if we'll allow.
Is that okay? Yeah.
If you'll state your name and address to you.
Hi, my name is Tahita White, Boyd White. I'm from Person County. I live in Mount Harmony Church Road. I grew up here. I went to school here. I graduated. I went off to college, which my first real experience with swimming was in college because it's required in order to pass college. I don't think that most kids should wait till they're in college to first have their true experiences with swimming or with community programs. One of the main reasons why I came back to Person County is because I felt that there's no reason that my county should not have all the things that other counties have. I've seen the privileges that the other counties have had. I've lived in Durham County, I've lived in Washington, D.C., I've lived in other different areas. Now, I am very proud of my county for a lot of things that they do have, but some things that should be here that has been missing for years. I have my children here, but I'm ashamed that it's 30 years and we still don't have a full-fledged recreation center for a lot of people to go to. It doesn't make any sense that we are as big of a county as we are, and a lot of the kids don't have places that they can go to. I also now work at DSS, and our hardest thing this whole last couple weeks have been trying to find recreation centers or trying to find places for kids to go Monday through Friday so their parents can go to work and make sure that the kids are getting some places, because a lot of places aren't funded. And I think certain things are important to have, but I think if we budget ourselves and if we reach out to grants or some assistance, that we could fund a YMCA without an issue. It's just where we prioritize, like we tell our kids. And so priority should be for kids and youth, because they are the ones who are going to take care of us when we get older. They are the ones who are going to make sure that everybody succeeds, everybody is going to the next level. Person County, you shouldn't be 18 years old and having to move out because there's no jobs. YMCA would bring jobs. Also, YMCA does do a lot of tutoring, a lot of counseling, a lot of classes that would benefit not only just the youth, it would benefit everybody. So I just think that we should consider it, if nothing else.
Thank you.
Then we have Miss April Short.
Hello everyone, my name is April Short. I live at 495 Lesterburst Road. This is my second time speaking before the board. That's how passionate I am. I was here when it was just me and another person speaking. I'm excited and I'm surprised to see as many people as I see here today. And I'm enthusiastic about it because I hope we do vote for this YMCA. Taxes haven't been increased in 12 years. And it's important that our children have it. Our children, we not have to only look for now, but look towards the future. We need to look towards the future. My daughter she just turned 15, but I also have a 3-year-old. I'm doing this for him. I'm standing in place of him and all those other parents that couldn't be here and all those other children, their voices that can't be here. They need a YMCA. They need a place to go, a shelter, a safe haven, a place that they can go after school, before school, during the summer. They need this. I'm staying here, sacrificing my time for them. I'm not here for myself, I'm here for those kids. And I'm hoping you guys and the board and the county and whoever needs to vote, I hope you guys please do vote for this YMCA because it is needed in our county. Short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's everybody that signed up for the informal comments. Item number 4 on the agenda, consent agenda. Is there anything in there we need to pull out and talk about?
Move for approval.
Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 5, Dam River Regional Water Project. Mr. Acock.
Mr. Chairman and Board, in 2008, the Board of County Commissioners, along with the governing bodies of Roxborough, Yanceyville, and Caswell County, entered into an agreement whereby there would be a water intake facility to serve the area from the Dan River. At that point, Roxborough was expected to be the lead agency to construct and operate that intake facility on the Dan River. Getting an intake facility is a long and complicated process because of the state and federal permits. That has about been completed. I said about because we're not quite sure about the final. During this time, Yanceyville has experienced a much more severe water problem than the jurisdictions in Person County. Yanceyville has applied for a federal grant to aid them in constructing the intake facility at their town. Roxborough, Person County, and Yanceyville still continue active in this operation. Caswell County is a participant but not as active. Situation now is that Yanceyville desires to substitute itself for Roxborough as a primary intake jurisdiction, utilizing the expected federal grant. You have before you 2 contracts. One contract simply does that. The first one simply substitutes Yanceyville for Roxborough. All other provisions of the original 2008 contract remain the same. The second contract is in essence a contingent contract. If Yanceyville is unsuccessful to secure the federal grant and construct the intake facility, then the contract would revert back to its original form, and Roxborough again would be the principal intake facility jurisdiction. The Roxborough City Council has approved this contract, and I believe the Yanceyville contract has been approved by Yanceyville as well. So you are requested to approve with the other 2 jurisdictions, which I've already approved, both of these contracts, one to substitute Roxborough, the second to, if Yanceyville is not successful, to reinsert Roxborough. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Anybody got any question for Mr. Acock?
So Caswell County Board of Commissioners haven't taken this up yet, just the city of Yanceyville?
They have not. I had an opportunity to speak with the Caswell attorney last week, and they are aware of this, and you may remember that there were some ins and outs years ago about whether Caswell wanted to participate. It actually went to court. So Caswell is not as intensely interested, but the attorney is aware that this is going on.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
All right, any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item number 6, Ms. Tate, if you could educate us on that subject.
Good morning. This is a follow-up item from an item that we presented in April to you all, where you funded the study to look at the building at 109 Oxford Road. Building Inspections has recommended that it be removed, and we had to study how much it might cost to remove that. So those studies have come back, and the estimated cost is $21,650 to remove this building. I'm here requesting that those funds be taken from contingency and placed in the building inspections departmental budget so that our building inspector can move forward with the removal of that building. And Mr. Tillman is here if you have any questions for him about that building. I will remind you that normally building inspections is able to work with homeowners to resolve these issues, and we do not have to go to such extreme circumstances, but unfortunately we were unable to do that. So.
All right, now the lien will be applied on the property
Yes.
for us to recoup that.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, anybody got any questions for Ms. Tate or Dale Tillman?
So we approve this and the process will move forward?
Yes.
And that
We
will,
got the bids in, May 31st, we closed the bids, and we will award the
Dale,
bid
come
to
over,
Michael Lewis.
come over to speak.
Dale Tillman with Inspections. We've awarded the bid to Michael Lewis. He came in with the lowest bid on getting the building removed. We also have asbestos removal that has to be done first. That part of it is $2,150 for asbestos removal. And then the bid for tearing the building down is $19,500. And it will be a clean seated lot when he's finished. So.
and that's, the footprint of the building has, what about the vehicles back?
The vehicles that are behind the building actually belong to on a different property. The vehicles that are left on that building will be gone with the building. It's probably about 10, 15 that are with that building that'll be gone. The rest of them are Mr. Johnson's. And he will be putting up a new fence around his part because the fence for his part is on part of this guy's property, so he'll be redoing the fence.
Okay, thank you.
So this is from when the lady came to our board meeting and met with me after the meeting, and she was complaining about the shape of that building and all those particles and the roots falling in and all that stuff was blowing into her yard, and a lot of the property owners were rather
We've actually been
concerned about
working
that
on this
value.
property for over 2 years trying to get this done, so.
Move for approval.
All right, any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item number 7. Ms. Tate?
Okay. Good morning again. I am here before you to request funding for a Racial Equity Institute training. In March of 2019, the state came before the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council and presented information showing that we have a greater percentage of juveniles of color involved in our juvenile court system than we do than we do Caucasian juveniles, which is the opposite of our population, where we have a higher Caucasian population and a smaller people of color population, juveniles of color, excuse me. So the state presented this information to the JCPC, and one of the questions was, how do we address this? How are other counties who are in the same situation, and there are many others, addressing this? And the state recommended this training to the JCPC, and so I'm requesting funding from your mental health funds. If you'll recall, you get a refund each year from Cardinal, and this is an approved training by Cardinal. We do have a high proportion of individuals who have mental health who are individuals of color, and this is something that Cardinal has worked with other counties to attend. I know Alamance County folks have gone to these trainings. So I'm asking that those funds be used to pay for this training. I've also reached out to the JCPC board and also BASIC to see if those organizations would be willing to do kind of the housekeeping around this training, and there is some interest from them to manage that process.
So you're sending someone somewhere, or this training is coming here, and you're trying to bring in those two groups together?
It's coming here. And those two groups would hopefully help us organize it and move it forward, get the right folks at the table to have those discussions about how to address these issues.
And so there would be no general fund appropriation. You'd be using $15,000 of the Cardinal refund to apply to cover the cost of this training.
Being on the Cardinal Board of Directors, I would fully support this. It's a good effort and good use of that money that's available to the county.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
All right,
I would make
we
that
have a motion. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Fiscal year budget ordinance. Ms. York?
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you is a budget ordinance that has been drafted based on the direction that you gave to me at your last budget work session. You held 2 budget work sessions to get to this point. You also satisfy the legal requirement of conducting a public hearing at your first meeting in June. I have staff available to walk you through the adjustments if you'd like any clarification of those. There's a copy of those at your seat this morning. We finished this up late on Friday. Would you like me to have finance walk through? Do you have any questions about that? Yes? Okay. Laura, would you be willing to do that?
Good morning. So I believe in your packet there should be a sheet that looks something like this, 2 sheets, adjustments to the recommended budget.
Right, that's the first page, the front and the back.
And this is something we present every year to show the differences between what the manager's recommended budget looks like and what the current proposal is for the adopted budget ordinance. In the first section, you'll see the changes to the general fund. An additional 1-cent property tax has been proposed, generating $419,845 in revenue. And another fund balance appropriation of $1 million was also proposed. This would be transferred to the Water and Sewer Fund to be held in reserve for Mount Tirzah future needs.
And that could be used for anything.
Currently, you can designate it. Currently, the proposal is to designate it for Mount Tirzah and the area involving the landfill, but it could be redesignated for any other purposes that the board approves.
Well, if that's the concept, then shouldn't the language reflect that now rather than trying to go back and?
Concept, I thought when I brought it up was for infrastructure, and if that infrastructure led down there later on, years down the road, then we knew that money was there to do that. But
Yes, that is my understanding as well. It might be that I am using the wrong language to describe the same idea. So that is infrastructure.
Did you want the $1 million
we're
separate?
putting $1 million in the water sewer fund for future infrastructure.
Yes,
Okay.
and that is actually on page 2. So what we have to do is appropriate it in the general fund, and then later you will see it also in the water and sewer fund as a revenue and an expenditure coming in. So it's a difference of having multiple funds. Also in the general fund, we have changes proposed to the expenditures, $24,000 for the YMCA feasibility study. There was a reclassification reduction of $4,266 in finance. The YES program, at the time of the manager's recommended budget, we did not have a budget for the YES program, so $55,166 was held in JCPC administration for YES, and now they've submitted a budget, so we are going to move that $55,166 to the YES program. It's an even wash, no additional funds there.
That's the program operated by Cooperative Extension?
Yes. We have $250,000 allocated for economic development contracted services. A reduction of the public health nurse director position, $89,702. A reduction in the interim public health nurse director position of $7,465. An increase to the environmental health contracted services line of $5,100. This is for lab services for testing water samples. Because of the frozen positions that are currently proposed in public health, that would necessitate environmental health sending their lab samples out elsewhere to be tested rather than doing them in-house because of the frozen positions. Then you'll see that transfer to the Water and Sewer Reserve Fund of $1 million that we were speaking of. An increase in undesignated contingency of $95,036, and a compression study implemented in 2 years rather than 3, which was an increase of 142. Moving on, there were no changes to the Person Industries and Recycling Center Fund, Material Recovery Facility Fund. In the Fire District Tax Fund, there was a reduction in the Woodsdale Volunteer Fire Department allocation of $30,000. We have moved that to unallocated fire district funds, same amount. In the Emergency Telephone System Fund, the state notified us after the recommended budget of an increase in $32,487 in revenue. That allows the 911 department to do additional training at $6,800, increased maintenance and repair for equipment, $10,829, and maintenance and repair for systems and software at $14,858. At the bottom of the page, there were no changes to the revolving loan fund. On the top of page 2, Economic Catalyst Fund. This is our special revenue fund for economic development needs. There's a fund balance appropriation of $100,000. This is for the Workforce Pipeline Project. Excuse me, there's a typo there. I'll make that correction. Workforce Pipeline budget. This was a project that I believe Sherry Wilburn came to you recently for approval, and the cost was $100,000. And then in the Water and Sewer Special Revenue Fund, that's where you see that transfer from the general fund of $1 million to be held in reserve for future needs, future infrastructure needs. And then finally, there were no changes to the Stormwater Fund budget. Are there any questions at this time?
The changes to the health department personnel, any of those positions state mandated?
There's been some communications that I shared with you about needing a nursing leadership position in place. And so you have those before you for consideration. If we do set up a joint meeting, which we're hoping to do with the Board of Health, you could also make some adjustments at that time. So if you want to go ahead and move forward with these changes, it would be a discussion later with the Board of Health that you may need to restore a position to help with the oversight of the nurses.
Well, if we know there's a possibility of it being restored, why are we taking it out right now?
The position that we need to restore, do we know it has to be a public health nurse director position or just a supervisor position? We don't know, so I would prefer that we go ahead and
we have the health
have the meeting
here.
with them, have the meeting with the board first.
Mr. Clayton?
I understand what the manager's saying, and I think we've already got some dates for a meeting with the Board of Health. I think one of them was July the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. You know, if we're gonna meet with them, we can make the adjustments with that then, and get into that in detail if we need to. I don't like to see us start changing this budget ordinance.
I think there's a lot we need to learn about the health department.
That's exactly right. I think there's more we need to know, so I think if we do it then, we would be better off.
Okay.
Can we hear from the director?
Mr. Chairman, that's up to the chairman.
Yeah, come on.
According to the North Carolina Administrative Code, as well as the agreement addenda, that is a contract that we signed between the Health Department and the state of North Carolina, there's to be a nurse leadership position. And this is also in regards to a memo that was sent by the North Carolina Board of Nursing. Doesn't necessarily have to be classified as a nurse director. It could be a nursing supervisor, but there needs to be someone in leadership or a leadership position in order to be in compliance with all of these regulations.
Mr. Chairman, maybe a question. This seems to me to be the cart before the horse. Have there been any statutes broken or laws broken or policies violated by anyone in this department? So why are we doing this seemingly in reverse order? I would say that we do need to meet with their board and then come up with a viable solution to whatever the issues are. If, unless we've done something wrong or they've done something wrongly illegal.
I think you're right. The position's vacant. It's probably not gonna be filled by then anyway.
I don't
So
see the
think
need
we
of-
meet with them, we can work it out.
Well,
doing
there are
this
two-
now, and then 30 days later come back and reverse these actions, so.
There were two actions related to the health department employees. One was to freeze all vacant positions. The other was to cut the nursing director position. So two different actions have been proposed.
So I think your comments are true. There are a lot of unanswered questions. That's why I proposed to cut the director's position at $89,702. We just heard that that position has to be some type of a leadership position, so it could come back and be whatever you want to call it. It might not pay $89,000. And we're freezing the other positions. So why would you want to keep this here until we meet with the board to get all of our unanswered questions answered?
That was your suggestion, meet with the board, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was his
Yeah,
suggestion.
but also his suggestion is to keep this frozen, not cut. I prefer to cut it and then bring back what we need to bring back. It may not be this position.
Is the position currently being advertised?
Yes, sir.
And I guess there's potential candidates for the position?
Yes.
There's no candidate, there's no employee in that position.
But if
We have
you're
someone-
advertising, you're spending money on advertising for a position.
Not $89,000.
We just asked, and they said there was candidates and it's being advertised.
Yeah, but do you think we spent $89,000 to advertise it at Courier Times compared to what we're going to pay if we hire?
I'm
And we
talking
not need
about
that- we not need
advertising
that
in
position?
general, Mr. Jeffers.
And not need the position?
89,000 is not the advertising, it's the salary.
I propose cutting some parts of the budget. You want to increase?
Well, you should have listened to my proposal last meeting.
All right. Any more questions?
I move to approve the budget ordinance as presented.
Okay. We have a motion. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Now, at our first budget session, we went around and gave our priorities. Other priorities were different from others. And I gave my priority of keeping school funding, keeping fire tax funding, with the $20,000 increase. And, of course, with the no property tax increase on that. We've heard around the table different priorities on it. And Mr. Chairman, at that first meeting, you said we had a choice. Either we can cut to keep taxes the same, or we raise it to where we need to, where we think the funds need to go. I presented a budget that did that exactly. It may not have had all the bells and whistles that everyone wanted in their proposal, but it did keep schools fully funded. It was a fire tax increase of 1 cent, and I feel that it was a budget that was within our means. That we talk about we haven't raised taxes for 12 years. Well, that's really not true. We did a 1 cent fire tax increase. That's as good as a property tax, except for it doesn't include the people in the city of Roxborough, but it's still a tax increase. And we hadn't done this we hadn't had a property tax in 12 years. And, and first off, I want to thank everyone that's in attendance here. It kind of discouraged me when we only had 3 people show up at the public hearing, and which really was where all this discussion should have taken place in the first place. But a few social media posts between me and Mr. Jeffers gets people stirred up occasionally, and I appreciate that him and I have a respect for each other, and that we can debate in a very civil manner sometimes. So, but Mr. Chairman, for the 12 years that we haven't had a property tax increase, this was bipartisan support. This is whether Democrats controlled or Republicans controlled the board. Everyone saw that as an equal objective. I think it's vital for, if you're looking to come here, you look at other counties around us with their high property tax rate. Yes, they offer more services, but our tax rate is something that I take pride in, because it's definitely a selling point for industries to come here. People that want to move here and not paying the much higher property tax rates around the county. So, like I said, my position still stands on this budget, and I think it was a very viable budget, and I propose a substitute motion to adopt my budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Chairman, I got a question for the attorney. Is a substitute motion in order? Is it the same as making a motion? That I know that you can't bring a topic back up as a motion if you voted in the minority on it. In other words, if you want to losing side, in other words, Mr. Pereira couldn't have made a motion to be opposite of what the budget ordinance was this morning.
Mr.
But
Attorney.
he could vote against it. But now, can he make a substitute motion? Is it the same as making a adjustment to this budget? How do you view that as far as our rules of procedure go?
Mr. Attorney, I knew Mr. Clayton was going to ask this question, so I want to let you know what I found out about this. First off, my motion at the previous meeting was not voted on, and it was not tabled, so it is allowed to be brought back up. Secondly, years ago that we voted, if I voted to say I vote not to, if he made the motion to vote for the adoption of the budget, and I made the motion to vote not for the budget, that's a counter, just like you brought that up in many years ago. It's a counter, but my proposal is completely different from his proposal. It's not saying no, it's saying why we're voting for this. It's a completely different plan as opposed to me just saying no.
Educate us.
First, let me make sure I understand the question. There is a motion on the floor to adopt the budget as presented. Mr. Pereira proposes a motion, a substitute motion, and I understand that substitute motion is to adopt a budget which has many different provisions than the original motion. And I don't recall all the details of, but at least no tax increase and different kinds of funding mechanisms. If that is the case, the substitute motion is, in a sense, a very, very large, like a very, very large amendment to change different provisions of the budget. So, it would be my opinion that that substitute motion, being not simply a vote against the main motion, would be permitted. The effect may be the same as ultimately voting against the proposed budget, the main motion, but I think you could vote on the substitute motion. If that passes, that has the effect of displacing the main motion, and that would be the adopted budget. If that substitute motion fails, you are relegated back to action on the main motion to adopt the budget as amended. A lot of lawyer words, but are there questions about that?
So basically,
discussion. This substitute motion. Yes.
Yeah.
So 2 questions with your proposal. One, you gave some type of a swap of $400,000. Now, it wasn't a true savings. So if you only taking it from this hand, put it in this hand, and not in your pocket, where are you going to get that $400,000 to fund all the things, to continue to fund the schools, the $896,000 that we propose?
That money remains in fund balance. It was appropriated in a line item, and it was
For the health department.
For the health department, and it's continued being funded right
But
now.
correct me if I'm wrong, that we pay that, that's just a placeholder in their budget. We're still going to pay that $400,000.
Yes, yes.
So it's not a true savings.
There were some other cuts proposed in his.
It was. One was a 1% across the board.
I gave you my full plan, Mr. Jeffers.
I'm going over it now. That's why I have questions.
Okay.
You also gave a 1% cut across the board to county departments. Now, I was part of a board that cut 5% when the recession hit, and we understood what those impacts were to those county departments. We knew Parks and Rec was going to turn lights off at the track. We knew Dewey wasn't going to get new cars. We knew employees were going to be furloughed. We knew the library hours were going to be cut. Now you're proposing a 1% cut. What are those effects to those departments and the services that we provide?
Well, you had an opportunity to send that to study, and it was not considered. So you would have to ask the county manager to review, which was my original motion. Was to have the county manager come back with with the review of my budget and come back with the ordinance and what all would be affected by it.
So you don't know?
I'm saying that you had the opportunity. I'm not over personnel in the county. I'm looking at the exact amount of money that, which I spent a lot of time on this budget, probably much more than some others on this board. I take pride. This is the chief responsibility of being a county commissioner. It is. And yes, we years ago when we did a 5% across the board, but I have confidence in our fine staff, our fine directors, our fine workforce, that they would be able to make ends meet, as well as there's a lot more revenue coming in that was conservatively estimated by the county manager that I didn't touch. And I feel, after reviewing that revenue, that the cuts wouldn't be that significant.
But you're still proposing?
I am proposing.
All right. We have to vote on the substitute motion first.
Yes.
All right. All in favor of the substitute motion is signify by raising your hand. All against? All right. Now we go back to the original motion. All in favor of the original motion signify by raising your hand. All against? All right. The budget passes as presented this morning with the adjustments this morning. All right. The designate NACO delegate, I guess the floor is open for nominations for that. How do we need?
Let's see, Commissioner Clayton is registered, and
I nominate Commissioner Clayton to be the vote delegate, given that I'm running for office.
Yes.
I guess he'll vote for me.
We'll see.
Any discussion on that? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Ms. Reeves, if you could give us a list of appointments.
Yes, sir. In your packet, you had a list of future citizen applications for the following boards and committees. There was a group of boards and committees that were uncontested, meaning that they had the same number of positions open as the number of applicants. And those are ABC Board, Mike Rawls request reappointment, Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, 4 positions. We have 2 applications, Martha Winston and Sheila McGee. And Animal Services Advisory Committee, this is Janet Slobinski, who is the current president of the Animal Protection Society. They have a seat on that board, so that application is only updating that seat as president in her capacity. The Board of Health, I am delivering to you Dr. Noblitz, requested reappointment, representing as a dentist. The Environmental Issues Advisory Committee, we have Jason Torian requesting reappointment for the Allisville Township, and Albert Staley requesting reappointment for the Cunningham Township. Jury Commission, Barry Crumpton requesting reappointment. Juvenile Crime Prevention Council for a 1-year term. We are asking that, for the substance abuse professional position on JCPC, we are requesting to move the current member, Martha Pickett, who meets the criteria for this position, to be moved from her current seat for the duration of her term, because we have a new application, a Cardinal representative, who would sit in that seat, which is for the area director, which is now referred to as the LME MCO, which is, for us, is Cardinal Innovations. So Stephanie Jones would sit in that seat as the Cardinal designee. Charles Harvey, also in JCPC, is requesting reappointment, representing the business community. And representing the health department, we have Emily Lauda, an employee, to represent that department. Also, Nursing Home Advisory Committee, we have one application. We have currently 4 positions available for Jessie Diane Jones. Preston Council Lake Authority, Lindsay Tommy Wagstaff is requesting reappointment. The Recreation Advisory Board, 2 positions available. We have Tabitha George and Donald Long, both requesting reappointment. Social Services Board, we have Albert Franklin Dickens requesting reappointment. For the Voluntary Ag District Board, we have Kenny Britton, Art Stone, and Bruce Whitfield, all requesting reappointment, representing Allensville, Roxborough, and Olive Hill Townships respectively. All of those that I've just listed are uncontested appointments. So if it so desires, I could accept one motion appointing all of those.
Motion to approve the applicants.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
For further consideration, it is time to designate 3 individuals for the Research Triangle Regional Partnership. And the current fiscal year representatives are Gordon Powell, Commissioner Representative Sherry Wilburn, the Economic Development Director, and Philip Allen, Economic Development Commission member. You can certainly reappoint those same 3 individuals or list 3 new individuals. What's the desire of the board?
Make a motion, we re-up them. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
And then lastly, we have 4 different boards that the board needs to know that we have more applicants than we have seats. Those boards are Board of Adjustment, Library Board, Piedmont Community College Board of Trustees, and Plan Board. For the Board of Adjustment, we have 2 applicants for 1 seat. Andrew Withers requests reappointment. Sheila McGee, who you just appointed to the Adult Care Community appointment, has requested appointment also in the Board of Adjustment as well as the Planning Board. For the Library Advisory Board, we have 2 applicants. Ann Gibson requests reappointment. Judith Akers requests appointment. For the PCC Board of Trustees, we have Mr. James Woody requesting reappointment and Joel Adler requesting appointment. For the Planning Board, we have 2 positions, 3 applications. Mr. Derek Smith and Barry Walker requesting reappointment. Sheila McGee requesting appointment. So at this time, I'd ask that the board direct the clerk how you'd like to proceed, if you'd like to nominate and appoint these today, or if you need more time or need to interview these applicants as you've done in the past in an open session environment to get to know them a little bit better.
Move to schedule a interview at our next regular scheduled meeting, 30 minutes prior to its start, for all the competitive applicants.
So you want to start at 8:30 with the informal interviews for these 9 applicants?
I think that should be fine.
Our next meeting is a night meeting, isn't it?
No, our next meeting is July 22nd at 9 a.m.
Do it in
Okay.
August.
It's the only meeting, yeah.
Okay. Let's do it in August, our first meeting at night.
So at August, first meeting at night, but I would like
August
to
5th.
say, I'm not sure 30 minutes would be
I'm
enough
gonna
time.
say 6 o'clock would be better. Well, an hour would be better.
Start at
It's an
6.
hour, but that, it's still gonna be tight, but generally you have about 5 to 10 minutes per person.
How many you looking
You
at?
have 9.
5:45.
We can do it, I mean, if we want to do it, start at 6, we can, I mean,
One applicant is on here twice, so we can ask her the same question for
Certainly.
both boards at the same time.
Certainly. Okay, if it's desired of the board, we will schedule the informal interview process. Our first meeting in August, which I believe is August 5th, and we'll start at 6 p.m. Thank you.
And the one in July,
Only one meeting in July,
So that's a 9 a.m. meeting.
on the 22nd.
But we're not gonna do,
22nd.
22nd.
yeah, but we're gonna do the informal interviews in
Got
open
that.
session August 5th.
Okay.
That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffers? Item 11.
Environmental Committee meeting. I'm your commissioner representative on that. they're looking at somewhat trying to restructure. They have a member per township, and you might remember past Commissioner Blaylock formed this committee, and it's currently focusing on a litter campaign for the county. I think they're participated in some litter pickup, some other organizations over this past year. But unlike most of our committees, they aren't really tied to a department. So they don't have any type of staff support or no funding. I'm pretty much the only person from the county, I guess, as a liaison. So they would like to do a booth at Personality promoting their litter campaign. They've come up with the slogan, "Keep Person County clean, every litter bit hurts." And they would like to purchase some custom litter bags, a banner for the booth, and some little keychain type logo type stuff with that on to present. Their request totals $737.24, and I would make a motion to fund this out of our governing board fund, and direct the manager, since they're not tied to a department, to get with the chairperson, Jay Satorian, and to get these ordered for them for Personality and for other events that they're planning on launching this campaign. And then I want to let you all know that they are currently looking at trying to restructure to come under maybe a department, more than likely Person Industries, so the Recycling Center PI.
Okay.
What was the requested amount?
$737.24.
You're taking that out of where?
Out of our
Jeff?
budget, out of our governing body budget. So I'm sure there's probably some travel funds, something left
Most
over in our
likely.
budget that they can pay for this.
From the current year budget?
Yeah, I'll let that, give it to the direction of the manager, but pay it out of this budget, not July 1.
All right, any more discussion? We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. I do not have anything as chairman's report tonight. Ms. York?
Yes, Commissioners, I wanted to take the opportunity, this is Sybil Tate's last board meeting with us. As you know, she has resigned and is moving on to Buncombe County. So I wanted to publicly thank her for her 7 years of service with the county. It has been a pleasure to serve with her, and if you'll join me in thanking her this morning. Thank you.
Where's she going?
Mount Mitchell.
That's all I had.
All right. Any commissioners got anything they want to bring up? If not, I need a motion to go into closed session. Per General Statute 143-318, let's see, negotiate agents concerning positions taken on behalf of the public body. We're allowing Heidi York, Brenda Reeves, Ron Aycock, Sybil Tate, Chris Perrier, and Joe Fedesso.
So moved.
All right. All in favor say aye. All right, we are in closed session.